or rule out that it was accidental and there's no fault. So and that would be diligent on their part to get as much information, to interview witnesses, to pull footage from nearby cameras in the area, to get all the information they can to see exactly what happened.
Okay, and we want to go now to Assignment Manager Mark Liu. Mark, we hear you have an update.
Yes, we do. So, Chris and Marcy, I just got off the phone with Los Angeles Sheriff's headquarters, and I asked them, can you yet confirm for me exactly where these runners were coming from? And they said, no, we're still working on that. But they did tell me that in this area, there is only one sheriff's training center in the area. So we can kind of put two and two together here. That sheriff's academy is called the Stars Explorer Training Academy on Colima Road. It's about 1 mile away from this location. So it's very likely that these recruits came from there. I also went to their publicly accessible webpage. The Stars Academy says that its recruits are currently training for a run. It's called the Color Run, and it is scheduled to take place in the month of November. It is honoring a fallen police officer, but it's very likely that these cadets may have been, or these trainees may have been training for this Color Run that this academy is prepping for in November.
Mark, thank you for that update. Yeah, that really gives a little bit of insight into what may have been happening here. And we want to go back to Rick. Rick, I noticed that a second helicopter has landed in the area. We still haven't seen that first one take off, though, and it's been there for quite a few minutes. Does that tell us anything, that there is potentially no one there at the scene at this point who has the level of injuries that would require air transport?
Well, again, that's going to depend on what they're seeing and what they're talking about on the ground. It could just be that the incident commander called for a secondary helicopter for air transport. They may, because of the base contact that they make with the hospitals, they may be determining that they may have to go a little further out of the area for an air ambulance. And when that occurs, that's going to save time for patients that are being transported via ambulance going through traffic. It is that time of day where it is rush hour. People are trying to get to work and school. And again, as I mentioned earlier, if they have to transport to a children's hospital for whatever reason, they may have called for that secondary helicopter to provide that.
And we mentioned there's a fire station right around the corner there, and we know that mass casualty incidents like this, that's something that first responders do train for. How often is their training updated? How well versed are they in how to handle a situation just like this one?
Well, I have to tell you that each department is different, but on a large scale, that's one of our priorities. We go and squirt water and hose lines and practice our fire ground operations all the time, but 90% of our calls are medical related. So we train a lot on dealing with medical emergencies, whether it's auto extrication and how we're going to get somebody out of a car with the jaws of life, to a multi-casualty incident. And a lot of times it's a large scale where we get multiple fire stations involved, multiple agencies involved, possibly the entire battalion, where you're getting multiple first responders that would respond to something like this. So obviously the more practice, the better we're going to get. And it's in our standard operating guidelines, our SOGs, that we follow each and every time. And from an incident command standpoint, that incident commander has to dictate exactly how it's going to lay out from the very get-go. That's going to determine the success of this incident. And there is a playbook for this type of incident for first responders to follow, and that's setting up the triage, treatment, and transportation unit. It's getting base contact set up with the hospitals, setting up a perimeter to have the ambulance come in and exit out properly without getting bottlenecked. I mean, it's a coordinated effort, and we practice this all the time. So when it does happen, it runs very smoothly.
Okay, Rick, we want to thank you so much for all of your insight as we cover this major breaking news out of Whittier. To recap for all of you at home, 10 to 15 people were hit by a vehicle there. They are possible trainees or recruits from the LA County Sheriff's Office. It's believed that they were possibly out for a run when this happened. Patients have been there, triaged there at the scene. We also know there are some who were very seriously injured who were taken to UCI. Part of the 5 freeway southbound was closed for this convoy of ambulances. Some who were less critically injured were taken to County USC Medical Center, and we know the driver of the vehicle involved has been detained. Yeah, we also learned that there is a training center nearby, and apparently the recruits there were training for a run called the Color Run. Apparently it's to honor a West Covina police officer who was killed in the line of duty back in 1983. Of course, still a lot of information had come from this for the driver. The driver was detained, which means that driver is being questioned. As for whether or not that driver has actually been arrested, that is still unknown. But of course, this is a developing breaking news story that we'll continue to follow here on KCAL 9 News, on CBSLA.com, and also CBS 2 News at 11. For now, we return you back to regular programming.
This has been a KCAL 9 News special report. We now return to our regularly scheduled programming.
Roaring flames rip through a Fontana community. We'll take you to the inferno.
Plus, whipping wind puts SoCal on high alert. Why it's so important you stay on guard today.
Security came in screaming at us, like to get out, to get out.
Terror in Target. What happened after a homeless man grabbed a knife and went on a rampage?
A high-speed cross-county chase comes to a chaotic end. We'll show you everything you missed overnight.
Live from the CBS Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, this is CBS 2 News This Morning at 6.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. It is November 16th. I'm Chris Holmstrom.
And I'm Marcy Gonzalez. Thanks so much for waking up with us here on CBS 2 and streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. Well, if you checked social media right when you woke up, you probably saw a lot of pictures of the launch.
Yes, we're heading back to the moon. The third time is a charm. And yeah, we're heading to the moon. So that'll be fun to see. And we'll catch you up on all the late night launch in just a few moments. So cool. That third time's a charm.
Absolutely. But first, we are an hour away from a red flag warning, and the winds are really kicking up out there. Meteorologist Alex Biston kicks off our team coverage of the dangerous conditions. Alex.